Hey, we're talking about change this week. That's right. Every week we should be talking about change because things are always changing. But today we're going to talk about deciding to change. Yesterday we talked about the need for change. And when we see a need, today we're going to talk about actually making that decision to change something. And we're going to talk about a pretty big change that I'm making in the next couple of days. All that and more on episode 949, wow, of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote provides an opportunity for business owners and leaders to discover what is real for them and to be impacted by what is real for others. That is the Renegade way. Let's get real. We all face challenges and get stuck occasionally and are looking for an antidote. Each weekday, this show dives into a topic that may have you stuck, frustrated, and uncertain. Our goal is to share our value in an effort to help you find that one thing, the antidote to your challenges, so that you can get results and make more money. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Good morning, Tom. How are you?
I'm well, Bob. How are you today?
I'm good. It's my penultimate episode.
Yes, indeed.
I just like saying penultimate.
Fair enough, I guess. You didn't say next to last?
No, I didn't. I like penultimate.
Why?
I don't know.
Just a big word?
It's a big word, yeah. I've been using the word disaggregate a lot lately. For
disaggregate?
Yes, disaggregate.
Do you ever even use the word aggregate?
Sometimes.
So what is disaggregate? To not bring together?
Yeah, to take apart.
You know, I worked with somebody once who always had to use these big words. I think because he thought it made him feel smart. And half the time, nobody knew what he was talking about. And he would pull out a word in the middle of a sentence and you'd be like, wait, what? So my sort of thought on that is if I have to think about what you're saying for more than like a half a second or two, maybe it's not as effective as you might think it is. I don't know. That's just me.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'll give you a little piece of trivia. A question for you.
Okay.
How old do you think the movie Frozen is as of yesterday?
20 years.
10 long years. That's a lot of letting go. I won't sing it. Well, maybe I will. No, I won't.
I did that once.
You sang Let It Go?
My group, this coaching group that I was in, we had some conversation and somehow we talked about letting things go or we were talking about something. I don't even remember what. And I don't know. I was in a weird mood. And so I videotaped me singing it, Let It Go, and sent it to the group. I don't know why. I don't know what struck me to do that.
I was going to say, that so doesn't sound like you.
Well, there's a whole other, I'm a complex person.
Kelly says, please sing it. You or me?
I'm not. You can do it if you want.
No.
It's too early in the morning. My voice is a little raspy this morning, so I'll have to see if I can find my recording of that, Kelly.
That would be fun to watch. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would broadcast it. I might send it to Kelly because she asked about it, but that's about it.
There you go. So let's talk about our topic. We're talking about change.
Well, and what's interesting to me is that we had this conversation. I think what was an interesting lead up to this conversation yesterday. So if you missed that, go back and look at episode 949. When we were having the conversation, is it really
948? This is 949.
Yes. We were having the conversation. I think it was Ed who commented that change is really making a decision. And I think that would lead into okay. And I think I tried to make the point that I think you have to see the need and then make a decision based on that need. And that if you're not ever evaluating what you're doing, it's hard sometimes to see that need. And so I think, then you get to the point where, okay, I've seen the need and now I need to make a decision. And which, I think his comment was that it's not change that's hard, it's making the decision that's hard, which I don't disagree with.
Or not making a decision is a decision in and of itself.
Correct.
I mean, I think that's the thing that I see often is people don't make decisions.
Well, here's
like I was asking you before the program about a couple of things, and you hadn't really decided. And I didn't get the sense that you had a firm commitment in your mind, like, I'm going to make a decision about this thing by this date.
Well, I mean, I have some thoughts about what I will do until so I think there's a difference between not making a decision, having never considered the options. That's not really a decision. That's just doing what you've always done, which I guess there is some sort of decision in there that I'm just going to keep doing this. And
it's being reactive, right?
Or it's just very passive. You're just continuing along. You haven't even considered that that there might need to be a change to be made. I think that's sort of the difference with change and then deciding to change, is that you have seen that you might need to do something different, and then you've actually considered, okay, what are my options and what might be the results once I make these changes and see what the results of the option that I chose.
But it comes with risk.
Well, everything.
Because what if you make the wrong decision?
You just made a decision. How do you know it's right or wrong?
I think in most of our heads, we have are you making the right decision? Are you making the wrong decision? And better than making a decision at all, it's better to play it safe. If I don't make this decision, then I'm not responsible for the results.
Which to me, that's still a decision, because you've chosen to do that, not just said, I'm not even going to consider any options. I'm just keep doing what I'm doing. I guess that's a decision. And yet, if you haven't considered options, is it truly a decision, or is it just continuing along?
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about yesterday, right? If you don't make a decision, you haven't really explored the need for change.
Or even saw the thought that there might be a need for change.
And Kelly says, do we ever really know in the moment if it is right or wrong? That comes later. Correct. But I think in our heads, at least in my head, there's is this right or wrong? I mean, I've been going through this all week.
Because you love those adjectives.
No, because I think we want to make decisions that help us go where we want to go. Now, even a decision that would be a bad decision helps us get somewhere, because it teaches us things that we learn that take us somewhere new. Kelly says, no decision is maybe just sticking with comfort. Yes.
Doing what we've always done.
Or sticking with the pain. I know plenty of people who, the comfort of the pain. I remember someone saying to me when I first started coaching, the person's like, well, what if I'm really successful? Then I'd have to pay more taxes. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay, but that was a real upsetting thing to that person that, well, I don't want to pay more taxes. My response was, hey, you know what? That would be a sign that you were generating more revenue. It's proportionate. So yes, if you make $1 million, you're going to pay more in taxes than if you made $500. Agreed.
Well, and it might seem more painful now, because all you see is the money that you have to pay, because you right now don't have that revenue that you would have generated if you made that decision. And so, which again is why I think that defining decisions as good or bad, I think, is a limiting belief.
Right. Yeah. I had someone not that long ago say to me, we were talking about their marketing, and they said, what if people actually start calling me? And and at first I was like, let that be your problem. And then I realized that the problem was they were worried about delivering what they were saying they could deliver. So it's all well and good in concept, but then there's a moment where it's like someone calls and go, wait, you want me to do that thing for you? You want me to actually deliver that widget to you? I've been talking about this widget. I kind of think I can do it. And I think that's the mental game here. So much of when we talk about change is in our head. You know, this whole decision not to continue doing the podcast with you, I was going through a whole bunch of thought processes. Well, what if this is the key to people actually knowing me? What if I'm not doing this, people won't think I exist? What if this is what gets me up in the morning? What if this, my time with Tom goes away? What if on and on and on? What if I sleep late every morning instead of doing this podcast? What if I get up at 8:30? Will I still be able to do these things? I went through a long list of possibilities, most of which I can't tell you what will happen because it's completely different. I can go back 5 years and say 5 years ago, I would get up at 6 o'clock most mornings. But there was the occasional morning where I'd step late for a football game. The next morning, I'd sleep till 7:30, and then get up and do my thing. And that doesn't seem as effective to me now as it was then, but I don't know. So much is different. And I think there was, for 6 or 7 months, rather than make this decision, I would climb the hill in my head and be like, all right, you know what? I'm going to talk to Tom today. And then I get to a place where like, another week won't kill me. Another month won't kill me. We're dead. And then finally there was a day where it was like, I just can't take it anymore. And so
someone asked you and you didn't want them to have to ask you again.
But that was being reflective of what I had been saying.
Okay.
So it was really holding the mirror up to me. But there's a point where I think we make decisions, and the day I made that decision, I don't know if I was thinking of all the things. I think I thought about all those things in various degrees, but that day I made the decision was just like, you know what, I got to do something.
Well, and how can you know all the things that could happen? It's like
Correct.
Expected results. You think that if you do this, this is what's going to happen. You have no idea and no control many times over what those results are going to be. And I think that's why people, and I think they too early judge the results of their decision. Because as I also like to say is that results change over time. And something that you may Monday morning wake up and be like, oh my God, what have I done? And feel like, well, I can't change now because I made this whole thing about making this decision and I was held accountable to what I wanted to do at the time. And for 3 weeks, you might be like, oh man, that was a huge mistake. 6 months later, that could change because other things have happened. Or, as you said before, you have this client you've been meeting with at 5:30. Now
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Okay. Sorry. You can meet with them at 7 or 7:30.
Correct.
And that might seem awesome for the next 3 weeks or 6 weeks or 6 months. And then at some point you're like, well, but now I'm also missing because I'm doing that at 7:30. What am I now going to do on Wednesdays?
Right.
And I have another meeting that I have, or Fridays, or, and so I think that's the challenge is that we get results, some sort of results, and then we want to judge it right away and define it as that decision was good or bad. And who knows, 3 years down the road, because you made this decision, something else happened that has changed everything one way or another for you. And I think that's the piece about not qualifying, using an adjective to define a decision now, because results are going to likely change. And I think that we slow ourselves down. We choose not to do something today that our future self will thank us for. Rather, we would stick with what's safe, or as Kelly said, what's comfortable.
I think we also magnify the potential outcomes.
in both ways.
Oh, right, exactly. Good or bad. But we tend to take the extreme perspective. Well, this is really great or this is really horrible. Not, this is just a thing. Think of how many decisions had to go before this to get to this place. And which decision got us here?
Correct. What was the piece that finally made you decide this was what you wanted to do? And maybe you were at the point where you were able to stop judging it, stop worrying about results at the end that you can't control, and just take action and see what happens and then figure out what you learn from.
And I think that's the ultimate thing with deciding to change, is just taking the action and almost come what may. Not that you want to be cavalier about it, not, whatever, but at the same time, there's only so much that I can control about this.
And what's okay if you're just like, whatever happens, happens.
Well, I think there's a passivity to that often. And it can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Oh, this was a horrible decision. And then you confirm that with your actions and make it a horrible decision. Or it was a great decision. I think one of the things I had to realize in the last couple of weeks is it's just a decision. And I know you've been saying that a million times.
Hey, what? Wait,
I know. That's why we have to end this, because I'm starting to sound like you and I don't like it anymore.
I wasn't quite sure I heard what you just said.
Yeah, I hear you. But
so there's value to not using adjectives? Is that what you're saying?
I think there absolutely is. I think it's an unrealistic expectation. I think we want to quantify and qualify just about everything because it's that sense of control.
Well, because we want everything to be perfect. And as I've said also, there's no such thing as perfect. It's our chasing perfection, which again, the more that we chase the perfection of not judging, the more free I think we're going to feel to make decisions. And whatever comes of it, comes of it. I can't control it.
Right.
The more I focus on it, the more I'm going to judge it. So whatever comes is what comes. And then I get as long as I take the opportunity to then learn from that decision so that I can leverage that the next time I'm making a decision, be like, oh, hey, or I'm considering the decision or seeing maybe the need for change. I can say, last time I did this, this is some of the things that happened. Now the situation is going to be completely different. And the results and outcomes are going to be different. Yet I think we have the opportunity to have some sort of understanding because we've impacted our knowledge, experience, and perspective. Okay.
Do you have your one thing?
My real one thing is that you maybe came to the realization that that you said there was value in not judging your decision.
I've always agreed with that. I just find it very impossible.
There are a lot of things that are impossible. Doesn't mean we can't try. And take some of it that adds value and some of it that doesn't add value. And say, okay, maybe I can't do that all the time. And there are things, because I want to show some emotion, that I want to use an adjective with. And there are a lot of other things that adding the adjective slows me down, or judging it, not even adding the adjective, but making the decision to judge it before I truly know all of the results that might happen from this decision. And because I'm worried about the results, I choose not to do it.
And again, the decision is one decision among many.
Of course.
The decision not to do this program isn't the only decision I'm making. I have to decide Monday morning, what am I going to do at 7 a.m.? I could decide at that time I'm going to sleep. I could decide I'm going to go, spend 2 hours on Alignable or LinkedIn, or I could decide I'm going to do another podcast without you. Who knows? That I wouldn't do, just so you know. But all those things are available, and I think that's the part, rather than worry about the decision I've made, it's really thinking about what do I want to do Monday morning with, for want of a better phrase, a fresh start. But we have a fresh start every day. We didn't have to do this podcast today. You could have canceled. I could have canceled. Could never do it again. The world wouldn't come to an end probably. We've made a commitment to each other, but by the same token, a lot of decisions could replace that. If one of us got really sick last night, we probably wouldn't have done this today. If one of us didn't have electricity, we probably wouldn't have done this today.
Happened.
And there are a lot of factors in these things, but I think my one thing is when we decide to change, we tend to magnify things and we try to make causal connections that may or may not be there. So if I get a big client next Tuesday, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm so glad I ended that podcast. I know that was it, even though the connection is so tenuous at best. But we want to make those connections. And I think we also want to prove that we made a good decision. And I've tried really hard this week to not think about this decision in good, bad, or any case, even though at least one person has brought it up to me and said I should reconsider.
And
not Tom, just so you know. Tom did not.
Correct. All right. I think mine's like that. I think that if you see a need for change, or you believe, or you've evaluated and measured your efforts, and you say, maybe there's another way. So you take that consideration, and then deciding to change, to me, is making the decision that you are comfortable doing whatever it is that you've decided to do, and are not judging it now. And I would say that you're going to pick a time in the future where you will evaluate that, so that might be something for you to think about, is at what point will you go back and evaluate this decision in a way to figure out what did you learn from it?
Can I even evaluate the decision because there's so many factors outside of it?
I think there's an opportunity to learn. You can learn some things. Ask yourself 3 questions. What went well? Well, I didn't have to get up at 5:30 every morning. That was a lot. What didn't go as planned? Well, I didn't expect that. Yeah, when the guy canceled, or my client canceled, and I didn't have a meeting, I could sleep in, and that could add value. Or a couple people who used to say, man, I really like listening to your show, would be like, I don't see your show anymore. What's going on?
Oh, no, I'm going to lose my words of affirmation. No.
Where are you going to get your words of affirmation? That's, So I think that there's the opportunity to still learn from this without going back and judging it. So the measurement is not, was it a good decision or not? The measurement is, what have I learned? And what do I do with what I've learned? How does that impact me going forward? And so I think if we can look at it that way, I think it's more easier to make decisions and take actions than if we're so worried about, well, I think this is going to be the results, and because of that, this was a great decision. Or I think this is or these are the initial results I get, and say, not really what I expected. That was a bad decision. It's just a decision. One, as you said, of many that we make, that we don't take the time to stop and actually do that thinking around, or even taking the time to qualify it as if I decide, hey, I'm going to go upstairs and let the dogs out. I don't know.
Finally, you've answered the question we've all had for like 15 years, Tom.
What's that?
Who let the dogs out? There you go. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Something there. Yeah, I think that I think that we make many decisions where there's not really much learning to come from it. Other than, maybe I should have got up and let the dogs out earlier because they went to the bathroom on the floor, and said, now I need to think differently about this. And Beth says, good morning. And good morning, Beth. Thanks for popping in, saying hello. I hope that you enjoy your day as well.
That means she survived my Thanksgiving dinner last Thursday.
We were all worried about that. I was worried if Beth was going to show up when you said you were making Thanksgiving dinner. worried about that.
I was concerned too.
Although she still, results can still change.
No, salmonella comes quicker, I think.
Well, okay, but there might be some other things. Who knows? Who knows? You never know. Results can change.
That's it.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us, Callie and Beth, and sharing your thoughts. If you have a one thing that you'd like to share, whether you're watching us now or you catch us later on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or LinkedIn, and you'd like to share your one thing around change and deciding to change, we welcome it because we know that others will be checking it out and they can gain from the value that you share. If you're listening to our podcast and know that there is no place to comment on podcasts, we invite you to join our Sculpt Your Business from Chaos and Confusion to Confidence and Control Facebook group, where you can share your thoughts and ideas there and gain the value from people sharing theirs. So with that, we will be off tomorrow. And then, okay, so if today was penultimate, what's tomorrow? What's Thursday?
The ultimate. Last one.
The ultimate Today's Antidote with Bob and Tom on
Episode-
Thursday. You won't want to miss that one, I think.
Episode 950.
Yes. So we look forward to seeing you on Thursday. If not, we look forward to seeing you inside of our Facebook group.
Yeah. Hey, no matter what, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, take some time today and embrace the renegading you. It's so worth it.
Yes, it is. All right, everyone. Thanks for being with us. Go out and enjoy your day.